here with Miami coach Anthony Noreen ahead of this weekend's trip to number 19 Colorado College. We'll take some questions.
Coach had a week off for the guys. I'm sure it was a healing week for them. But what goes on during that week at this point of the season, kind of where the team is at right now? What'd you guys get accomplished?
Yeah, I mean, I think you assess a couple things. Obviously, you take a look at any kind of bumps and bruises and injuries, and maybe guys, their return to play if they're getting closer, and try to manage that stuff. You assess parts of your game that we feel like we need to keep working on and want to get better for right now. And then you assess, just the overall team and where things are at, and the feel and the culture and where we think we can improve, and the energy of things. And I think the most important thing is, I think being in this room last Wednesday, hopefully, brought it to everyone's, the forefront of their mind is just like, we're not going to stop pushing. Like we are not going to stop. We are going to attack these days and these practices and these video sessions and our workouts the same way we would if we were, fighting at the top of the standings in the NCHC. And hopefully we get to a point someday where we are in that situation. But it's not going to be any different. And we expect the guys to reciprocate, because it matters. It matters for them individually. It matters for us, the program. It matters for our program, what we put out here these last 8 games. And again, all these guys have goals and aspirations, whether it's the guys going out the door or the guys that, are going to be back here, or whatever it might be. So what we do and how we approach every day matters here. And we made sure that was at the forefront here the last 2 weeks.
You mentioned last week, and I'm going to step away more from the ice here for a moment and talk more about sort of bigger picture. You last week here, rather than having our traditional press conference, we celebrated the signing of Liam and team impact and what you guys have done with that program, how you've really taken Liam in to be a part of the team, Liam Jurgensen. And I just want to ask you about how you're developing men. You mentioned the guys that are going off to other things. You mentioned the guys that are coming back, but you're developing young men in more ways than just hockey. So how does something like that signing last week, the stuff that you guys have done with Team Impact, how does that help build the character and just the growth of these players?
Yeah, I mean, first off, it's something that, I think it's been an unbelievable experience for Liam and his family, first and foremost. They've, even though we did the signing day last week, he's been with us since the beginning of the season. You guys have seen him around here and them around here, and him down in our locker room before games. And I don't think a game's gone by this season where he hasn't sent me a video, good luck. And, if it's home, they're here, and he's high-fiving the guys. And, the sacrifices his parents have made and the brother have made just to bring him and be around here. So he's been just a really important part of this year. And then I think from our side, from the guy side, it's perspective. It's perspective. And I think, some of the things that he said in that press conference last week, like, I don't know, I think for all of us, they were like ringing in your minds still to this day, like, that it inspires him to keep pushing and keep, because he's, for as hard as maybe sometimes we think things might be, like, and what we're asking guys to do is to show up and to fight and to show up and work through a hard practice and work through a hard workout and work through a hard game, or maybe they don't get the results that they feel like they wanted, or maybe feel like they deserved. And our ask is that you show up and you keep pushing through that. Well, Liam's push is a totally different one, and I think one that should inspire everyone. Like I said, put things into perspective for everyone. Of like, man, if our biggest problem right now is that we're showing up and working and not getting results, and our biggest problem is that maybe practice is hard, or whatever it might be, or school's hard, like, that is a privilege. Like, our biggest problem as a group is a privilege. Like his he's fighting for his next day, and I think that, man, how inspiring and what a fortunate thing for us to be able to play a small part in his life and his family's life. And I just think it's been totally reciprocal, and like, the guys love when he's around. He loves being around. He's taken even more of a love to hockey than he had before, and now it's sled hockey. And our guys, the guys that were sitting up here, but there's a lot of guys. I think what was cool with Team Impact is they said that, usually when a team takes on, a signee, a player, maybe 2 or 3 guys take the lead. And in day one, when we said, hey guys, here's Liam, here's his family, here's his situation, he loves hockey, we're going to take him on. Like, do any guys want to take the lead? And it was more than half the team. Guys that, talk to him. They keep in touch with him. They call him. I mean, talking to him on Christmas Day, he's like, yeah, I talked to Moltz today. I talked to Sully today. And these guys are home for Christmas, and they're talking to Liam, FaceTiming with them, and, talking about what they got and, just what the day was like. And I just think it's become a really cool relationship and something that's really special. And like I said, I think we all, you think it's going to be good. Then once you get in it, you see what those relationships are like. It's pretty cool. And, it's something that I hope we could be involved in, for as long as I'm here. And like I said, I think it's really just been mutually beneficial and something really cool to be a part of.
It definitely helps keep things in perspective. And we all probably need that every once in a while. So back to the game in itself, you had a signing, another player, and this is part of the new NCAA rules, getting some of the kids out of the Canadian hockey leagues. So you had a signing of Ryder Thompson, a kid that plays out west. Tell us about maybe some of these latest signings that you've had here, really since the real signing day.
Yeah, so obviously when the signing day happened, at that point the CHL thing wasn't totally open, and it was something we were ahead of. It was something we were watching. Every member of our staff's been out and watched games, whether it was in the Quebec League, the Western Hockey League, the OHL, and David's been on the road the majority of the year seeing all those leagues, but the other three of us have gotten out and seen them as well. And big part of it is, again, we know that we're not going to bend on what we want culturally and what we want competitive-wise. So you're trying to do as much research as you can on the background of the player and, get to know the family background and what makes them tick and things like that. And then the other thing that's a little bit difficult is there's not a history of not that it's an exact science, but you could look at it and say, hey, we got this player that's playing in the NCHC. He played in this league, had this many points, had this impact. Hey, this kind of is how it translated. You could look at things like that. So from that point, that's where it's going to be really interesting going into next year and the years beyond. But, starting when we got Coach Adelic and now Ryder, those are guys where they check the box of what we were looking for. For them, it was an opportunity to extend their window and get to play some more hockey before having to make a decision in the professional ranks. They're two guys that have phenomenal educational backgrounds. I mean, they've done great in school. Ryder was the academic player of the year for his team. Both guys that have a lot. More than just hockey to their life. They want to get an education. They want to go this route. They think it's important, and both guys are wearing a letter. Both guys played major roles for their teams in two really good leagues. And, for Ryder, he's a guy that we've seen a bunch. We've been tracking him probably since October. Got up there and watched him play a couple times, got to know him really well. It was a fight to the end to try and get him. And he's just a guy that, again, we just think embodies what we want to be. And I would say the same thing about Coach. Coach is a kid who, you could look up, just Google his name and read the story of his background and what he went through and the COVID year and his family and, what they've gone through just for him to be able to play a game that's demanding. It's demanding on a family. And, those two guys I think are going to be a huge part of what we're doing moving forward. And again, we're going to continue to look at those ranks to find the guy that's the right fit for Miami.
That's the future. The now is heading to Colorado Springs to play Colorado College, team you have not seen this year. Team that started off very well early in the season, maybe hit some bumps here in the second half, but obviously very, very talented from the goalie out.
Yeah, a program that was in a probably similar situation to us 3-4 years ago, and I think their staff's come in and done a really good job. They've done a great job recruiting. They've done a great job by establishing an identity. Obviously, they got a new arena. And last year were, I think, the first team out and making the national tournament, and have returned a really good team this year. And they've got an elite goaltender and a really mobile decor. And then a group of forwards with some high-end guys that maybe could have signed in our back, but just some really good depth there. And they don't give you anything easy. That's the one thing, you watch them, they're not going to give it to you. They're going to make you earn it. And if you turn it over, or if you take a foot off the gas, or if you don't get in their way, they transition in a hurry and they make you pay. And a lot of guys up and down that lineup that we are familiar with, from coaching them and coaching against them. And, it's a really good hockey team.
Here with Blake Mesenburg ahead of this weekend series at number 19 Colorado College, and we will take a few questions.
Hey, Blake, a good chance to get a week off and try to kind of heal some bones, heal bodies, heal all that stuff, and just get ready for the final push of the season. What did you guys do, and how'd you kind of handle that week off?
Yeah, it was a big week for us to look back at our game and kind of restructure some things from different standpoints in each zone, and like you said, get some healthy guys back. Two big players for our team. They're able to come back for the weekend. That's huge for us. So, yeah, good week off.
So when you guys have a week off like that, how much of it is there practice? How much do you get back to basics? What kind of goes on during a week off like that in the middle of the season?
Yeah, I think that first week where we actually don't play games is, especially early on in the week, it's a lot more show me what you're made of and come out to work versus, and I think it's a lot of getting away from the systems and more showing who you are as a hockey player. And as the week goes on and early in the following week where we actually have a game again, that's more get into the systems, restructure some things, and see where we're at.
How tough is it, like, after that, sort of taking it a little bit easier one week to ramp it right back up the following week? Is that tough at all, or what does it take as the leadership on the team to get the guys motivated, get them ready to go again in that more high intensity week?
Yeah, I think the off week can be tough at times when there's not games on the weekend that you're really excited to look forward to. So that when that Monday comes around, I think guys are happy it's game week and looking forward to games on the weekend. So I don't think there's any issue of getting guys going.
Looking ahead to this weekend, you've got Colorado College, and haven't seen them this year, so they started out the year great. But what do you know about the team that you're facing? It seems like every team's got a good goaltender that you've got to go up against every week. But what do you know about them?
Yeah, I mean, we faced their goalie last year. He was pretty good against us then, but I think a couple of things we've talked about just going into this week and everything is how fast they transition and how important it is for us to be on top of pucks and get above the play. So I think that's something that we've really valued in this week's practice to get ready for things.
Already out in Colorado once this year, played Denver about a month or so ago. How much for you do you have to go through the adjustments of the altitude going out there? And it's even a little bit higher going out to Colorado Springs. So how much of adjustment is that for you?
I mean, for me personally, it's not much. When I talk to a lot of guys, it's not much. I think more so it's the long travel day and the time zone change. I know it's only 2 hours, but it does make a difference, especially on game days when your structure's a little different. So I think that's more of an impact than the altitude is for sure.
Absolutely. For you personally, getting to wear a letter this year, got one of the A's on there. What's that mean to you? How does that kind of translate with your game and your style of play?
It's an honor. I'm proud to say that my teammates and coaches believe that I can take on that role, but I think it doesn't really change who I am as a person and how I want to act on a regular basis. I mean, I hope that's how I am and what I'm doing is what gave me the letter, and it's not something I need to be now once I have the letter.
The team, the record is what it is this year, and obviously nobody is content with where it is at. How do you kind of get through something like this? What do you learn from going through experiences like this, and what do you do to try to move forward like that?
I guess personally I look at it as when you're past this, it's going to be something that you're going to be able to learn from and understand that you were able to get through it and learn a lot about yourself when times are not, again, this is tough, but nothing compared to what a lot of people are going through. So it's like, yeah, it's tough, but we got to be grateful for where we're at. And if you look at those things on a regular basis and get away from the wins and losses, I think there's plenty to be motivated for.
Similarly, as we come down the stretch, and you'd like some more wins, but it is what it is. But from the external, it might look different than it does inside. Inside these walls, inside the locker room, inside the coach's office, those of us around the program, we can see strides being made. You can see sort of the foundation being built, and anytime you have a leadership change, it can be tough. Mm-hmm. So how does that motivate you, and how do you feel about like laying that foundation, laying that groundwork, and helping move this program forward? Yeah,
I mean, now more than ever, these last 8 games are extremely important for everyone personally and for this program as a whole. I've mentioned this to the guys before. It's like, yes, the season has been what it is, but the last 8 games can set a foundation for what it's going to be like next year when we start out. So it should mean more to everyone now than ever. And even for the guys that maybe are graduating and moving on, and the next 8 games can have a big impact on whether you are playing on a team that you want to be next year. So.